Stanford. And when she was questioned by her classmates, she made up fake emails from Mark Zuckerberg saying, "This is definitely real, so please do not question this girl." She got picked up by South Korean news because her parents found out, heralded as a genius child, and then when they found out that it was all fake, it blew up in her face. So I was really interested because I had a very similar background to this person. So I, as a violinist of 14 years, I kind of combined my own experience with the experience of this poor person who felt a bit of parental pressure, to say the least.
Hi everyone, my name is Sruchi and I wrote and directed Ladke. And yeah, the inspiration behind the film was I grew up watching a lot of Nora Ephron movies and rom-coms, and I just wanted to see myself represented in those rom-coms, and I feel like we saw a lot of South Asian representation in these past couple of years, which was amazing to see, but I just wanted to add a character to the mix that wasn't as confident in herself. And by the end, she gains just a tiny bit of confidence. So yeah, that was kind of the inspiration. For me, I think a lot of the inspiration drew from Lizzie McGuire, if anyone grew up watching that. And then also, the rom-coms, When Harry Met Sally. There was a really nice rom-com that came out on Netflix called Wedding Season a couple years ago. So yeah, I think also kind of talking about the music too, I really wanted to feature South Asian musicians in the soundtrack because I, just the year that I made this film, there were a lot of South Asian musicians kind of gaining fame on TikTok, and I thought that was a really cool platform that they got to express themselves on. So I wanted to feature South Asian musicians on the soundtrack. So all the music that you hear you can find on Spotify, and they're all really talented musicians, indie musicians. So yeah.
So obviously films take a lot of work to make and a lot of people going through pre-production, production, post, and I'm curious if you guys could both share the hardest thing that you found with your films, and then maybe the most fun or most joyful.
I think the hardest thing about One Note was the ending, to figure out how to end this story, because it's a whole lifetime spent preparing for this one application, and to find out in a short film how to end it. And it was drawn upon real experiences. There are so many real-life stories of Asian kids that are lying to their parents. One true story of someone who hired a hitman to kill their parents in order so that they would not find out that they did not get into Ivy League schools. Luckily, it was a foil plot. But I think with the ending, just figuring out what was going on in her head is what allowed me to get to that ending. And the most joyful part, I would say, was collaborating with the lead actress, whose name is Danielle Liu. She still is a wonderful violinist who has hundreds of YouTube videos of herself playing violin, and that's how we found her. And collaborating with her and her real life experiences in the writing and in the playing and in the details of it was really such a joy.
I think for me, the hardest part was the casting, because I had a lot of fun casting Saloni, which was the lead actress. But I think for the male actor, it was really hard to find a South Asian boy, surprisingly in LA. And so since I wanted to incorporate a lot of music, I found this guy on a Spotify playlist. His name is Little Late, and he is a musician full time, but he did theater in college, and I just DM'd him on Instagram, and he responded, and he was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll act in your film." So that luckily that was just a couple weeks before production, but it was really stressful because we hadn't locked someone in, and that was kind of hard. But yeah, and then for the most joyful part, I think working on the animation was really fun because I had never done mixed media before, but I knew that I really wanted to do animation. And so learning about that whole process, we collaborated with a really talented character designer and a team of student animators. So all the animation is done by UCLA students. And so, yeah, it was just like a learning process, which I think working on that made me realize I want to incorporate like animation in my future projects as well.
Awesome. Okay, I will open up for audience questions. If you want to raise your hand. I'll run the mic to you.
Hi. Pardon me if you already answered this, but I wanted to know what were your favorite scenes in the films that you produced, that you made. Yeah.
In OneNote, our favorite scene was the deans all discussing the application dream sequence. No one's ever seen into that room, and the few professors that I interviewed said, oh, it's kind of boring in there. It's not really a room. It's kind of just three people saying yes and no. But that's not what I thought when I was in high school. I thought it was literally, you know, a huge discussion with a big board table, and you know, the fate of all these people just applying in their hands. So I think imagining what Joyce, the main character, would think was happening in that room was so fun for us.
I think my favorite scene, which was also probably the hardest scene, was the I kind of like all of them. I think the kitchen scene was really fun to film because I don't know if you guys could hear, but there was like actual real life like background sound from like a real party that was happening because we shot near UCLA, and so we were kind of just like stressed because we were under a lot of time pressure too. So like most of the kitchen scene is improvised, and it was just like really fun. And like also when we were doing the clapboard, like we had like PAs come and do the clapboard for that scene, and it was just like a really fun, like it was just like fun. Everyone laughed and like had a good time, and yeah.
Any other questions?
Hi, I just want to say I resonated with both your films so much. I also only applied to one school, and I did get in, but I was also freaking out, and so it was a very relatable experience. And I'm also, I went to UCLA Arts, so I remember like being in the sculpture garden and going through all that, so that was also incredibly relatable. I just do have like just a small question about I guess like the shoe scene. Why did you choose for that to be kind of this like market moment? Like why did you choose like the shoe specifically?
I think, okay, so like at UCLA, there was like one time where I was walking, and I feel like my roommate might remember this story, but like I was walking and there was like this guy, and I saw his shoes and I was like, wow, like those are really cool shoes. But I didn't like go up to him and tell him like I like her style or anything, which is like kind of like what she's taught to do in the film. And so like that, like when I was coming up with an idea for my thesis film, I like thought of that incident, and yeah, and so that's why there's just like, that's why she's like obsessed with the shoe. And I remember like when I was coming up with the story and like editing and everything, like everyone was like, why is she like so obsessed with shoes? Like that's so weird. But I just thought like it was a cool like thing, like a symbol or something, I don't know. But yeah, and then like the shoes, like we also like struggle to find like really cool looking shoes. So like those shoes are actually like the musician's shoes, and that's like his logo and like he designed and everything. So yeah, but yeah. Thank you. Also kind of like Cinderella, you know, like a reverse Cinderella story too.
All right. Any other? Okay.
Hi, loved both of your movies. Thank you. I wonder if after you finished making the films, or maybe looking back on them now, and probably maybe it's been a certain amount of time since you finished making them, are there things that if you were going to start again you would have done differently, or things that you wish you could have added or something like that? Sorry if that's a mean question. I really like them just as they are.
How do you think about that one?
I think looking at the film and seeing it screen in front of audiences is such a nice moment to complete the film. I wouldn't say that I would go back and change things. I think I would take what I learned into the next project.
Yeah, I learned a lot of. I just learned a lot about like, yeah. I feel like also there's a lot of pressure for like student films, like people like are trying to make the best thing ever, and like I got advice that was like you're just like, you're still in school and like you're learning how to make a film, so like don't put too much pressure. So exact same thing. Like I think I learned a lot about like working with people, who I want on set, who like what type of people do I want to collaborate with. So I think taking that into the next project as well is like really important.
All right, let's give them another round of applause. Thank you so much. And just for everyone in the audience, we have more features and shorts tonight, as well as until the end of next week. So check out our guides at the welcome desk to find out what else we have going on.